Welcome to the Uplifters podcast, where every week I talk to a woman in midlife who's doing big, brave things and who proves to us that it is not too late for us to do the same. Today, I'm talking to Deborah Koenigsberger, the founder and CEO of Hearts of Gold, an organization that has been breaking the cycle of homelessness for single mothers and their children since 1994. In over 30 years, they have touched the lives of nearly 40,000 people. But of course, Deborah had no idea what she was embarking on when she started this journey. She just saw a problem that needed a solution. She put one foot in front of the other, and the impact grew. So if you are feeling overwhelmed by the scale of the systemic issues in our society right now, this episode is for you. If you're feeling like maybe your life is lacking a sense of purpose or direction, this episode is for you. And if you just want some really practical wisdom and inspiration today, I promise you're going to get so much of it from this conversation. Deborah, thank you so much for being here today.
Hi, Francis. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so thrilled to chat with you today. So, just give us a little bit of background on the genesis of Hearts of Gold.
So, Hearts of Gold actually started. There were three things that happened that touched my life that made me want to do this work. One is my drug of choice is Stevie Wonder, and I take Stevie anywhere I can get him. So
Oh,
Stevie's lyrics, I feel like I live my life to Stevie Wonder's lyrics, and I have since like a teenager. And there's a song he wrote called "Take the Time Out" that in 1994 when he did his Conversation Peace tour. I was there 7 nights, third row, dead center, which I do every time he performed. I would go and sit on the sidewalk with the scalpers and make sure I got in early so I could get tickets to every night without paying
oh,
scalper prices. Yeah. So that song just pounded in my head, and it really just, every evening I would sit there and I would listen to the lyrics of this song, and I was like, wow. So that was one thing. The other thing was I live and work in a 10-block radius, and walking from home to work every day, there was this young girl that I noticed she was sleeping in the park. We have a beautiful restored park here called Madison Square Park, which is, now gorgeous, but was then not. It was a very scary place and very run down, a lot of drugs. And I didn't know why she was there. I finally got the nerve to approach her to ask her why she was there because at the time I was a young mom. I had, two little boys, and she basically said she'd been molested at home, left home to go to shelter, got molested in shelter, and decided that there was really nowhere to go and she was going to take her chances on the street, which was for me so shocking, like such a shock. I'm an immigrant child. I came here when I was a child. My parents immigrated from Jamaica and, came here and made life for us and then brought me and my brother. And I grew up always in community, always in extended family, always, there was no world in which I would ever have as my only option to go sleep on the dirt outside. Like, there's a couch, there's an aunt, there's a chair, there's shelter, there's somewhere that you can go that you'd feel safe and protected. So it took me a minute to kind of process what she was saying, that in her world, she's been on this earth for 19 years and nobody cared enough to save her from that option. So that was the thing. And the third thing was when my oldest son, who's now 33, was a baby. We were at a resort in Florida on vacation, and I met this makeup artist, and we just started chatting. And I came out of the modeling industry, so she was like, "Have you been in the modeling industry?" So we had this conversation, we connected. I said, "Yeah, and I'm actually in fashion." And she said, "Well, I'm a makeup artist," and she told me a little bit about what she was doing, and she's like, "And I hope that something's gonna happen for me soon." Cut to 6 months later, she was in Bergdorf and it was Bobby Brown. So when she came back to New York, she came and visited me at the store, and she, was talking to me about some work she'd been doing, volunteer work. She had been volunteering at a shelter and making, the moms feel really pretty and beautiful, whatever. And she was making them up and then giving them product. And I was curious. I didn't know what shelter was. I literally did not know what shelter was. And it turns out this shelter was between my home and my work. I lived at 32nd. The shelter was at 28th. My business was at 23rd Street. So I walked by this place every day and I had no idea. So we decided to kind of do a seminar together where I would talk to the moms about what to wear when they got dressed to go out, and Bobby would do her makeup and do her thing. So she invited me to do that. I did. I discovered this shelter thanks to her and realized that there were these women and children living there who were running away from all kinds of life crises, mostly domestic violence, but also just, you know, just abuse, abuse and desperation. So those three things happened almost like they were in tandem. It was incredible, like all of these things. And then Stevie's song and him saying, you know what, we can do something about this and be a king or some homeless one. We are one underneath the sun, and to kind of get involved. So that kind of like just you know, knocked me right into the middle of like, okay, I can do something about this. So I started my volunteer work there at that shelter. Um, and the first, so this happened in the summertime, and then Christmas time, after talking to the director for a while, and her explaining to me how shelter works and what happens, and these moms are basically there with their kids, and they have very few of them have someone, if anyone, and the someones that they have, it's not safe for them to be with those someones because whoever the abuser is can find them, right? So they are in shelter with the goal of getting out of shelter into permanent housing, where wherever they can and far away from whatever's been occurring. So I said to her, okay, so what do you guys do for Christmas? And she said, well, we go to the 99-cent store and we get, a lot of 99-cent toys and we throw them in a big bag and the kids get to pick a toy for Christmas. And for me, that made no sense because Christmas is about 99 toys per child, not one toy for 99 cents. So I offered to sponsor Christmas that year. I talked to my husband. I said, listen, this year, and our two little boys, honestly, by the time they're finished with the grandparents' gifts and the aunts and uncles, they need nothing. So I said, this year I really want to use the profits from my business. This is all in my community. My community, my store is successful. I was like, gives us so much. I want to give all of this back. So adopted the shelter, 135 kids and their moms. And, it was just like, let's make Christmas really be Christmas. So I got shopping bags, red shopping bags, and I got, three toys for the kids and a stuffed animal, and each child had their bag, and I had gotten lists of all their names and their ages, and so we made these bags, and I invited a Santa Claus, and I catered the meal, and it was just like this amazing thing that was going on, and everybody was like so shocked. They were like, "What is this?" I remember when I arrived with the truck, the director came outside and she said, Deborah, what is this? And I said, this is Christmas. This is what Christmas is, you know? And so I did that, and something happened during the course of that event. Santa would call up the child and they would go up to Santa Claus and Santa Claus would give them their bag. And this one young girl went to show her mom what she got. She was so excited. And her mother's response just really kind of gutted me. Her mom was like, so what? Ain't nobody ever done nothing for me. And so that kind of just stopped me in my tracks for a minute. And then I thought, whoa, not the response I was expecting. But, so after the event, I thought about it and I said, well, I guess what she was actually saying was, I don't even know what that is. Like, I never had it. For me, I'd had Christmas my whole life. And I didn't need Christmas anymore. Christmas went to my kids now. It was just like what it was. But she couldn't appreciate it for her kids because she didn't know what it was. So I took that as a lesson learned. I said to self, okay, we got to do this differently. So I decided that with the help of, with the agreement of the shelter, I would celebrate everything that we were celebrating in our families and as a community and even as a country sometimes. But so the next thing that was coming was Easter. So I said, okay, so I'm going to bring the Easter bunny. I'm going to cater the meals. Each child will have an Easter basket. But instead of just giving the children Easter baskets, we'll give the moms an Easter gift as well. So Bobby, gave me enough product to do that. I was working for Ivana Trump, God rest her soul, at the time, doing some appraisal work. And she was very popular on HSN at the time with her jewelry. And I asked her if she would give me a piece of jewelry for each mom, and she was all in. So we did that, and we presented these moms. When the kids came up to speak to the Easter Bunny and to get their basket, mom came up too. And it became like the thing that we did. So I realized, like, first of all, my mom had a magnet on the refrigerator that said, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. And so I thought, okay, I thought about that magnet. And I also thought, you know what, to get to because ultimately I thought, if Bobby was helping moms with stuff, I would do the kids. But I realized that the moms needed as much support as the kids, they were just feeling as down and out and whatever. So Hearts of Gold became about moms and kids celebrating what we celebrate, in our culture and our societies and whatever, so that they don't feel like lost, left out, and not belonging while we all celebrate all the things that we're celebrating.
We live in a time right now where it feels like a lot is broken. And there are a lot of problems and fears and
It's not a
worries.
it's not a feeling, Arantes. A lot is broken, and a
A lot
lot
is broken.
about our systems is broken.
Mhm.
And we don't have, our elected officials are so busy being elected officials that their ears are not to the ground, and they don't, for some reason, the problems, the systems that are broken are not getting addressed in a way that's like, it's like, let's remedy this because we can as a country. We,
Mhm.
as a country, as the United States of America, we do not have to have people sleeping on cardboard boxes in the street. We have enough resources to take care of everybody else's problems and figure out every other country, leaving our own, citizens here
Mhm.
to kind of fend for themselves or
We can get so overwhelmed by the scale of the problem that we freeze and end up not solving any problems and just
not.
fretting and worrying and ruminating. The first thing you did was you spoke to that young woman. That very simple act of engaging with another human being. All of these could come together because you chose to engage.
When I got into this, there was no world in which I ever imagined that I would impact 40,000 lives. And I didn't set out to do that. I thought, I'll help this shelter as much as I can with these moms and kids. If you're lucky enough in your life, and thank God I've been lucky enough and blessed enough um, to have found something that passions me so much. Like if you find passion in your life, you will realize that it soon takes over. It's not about you anymore. You have no, like I can't decide anymore what this. It's just like its own truck. It's driving and you're just like on board, and it's an amazing ride because passion is. I hope that everybody is passionate about something because passion is the reason to live. It's like air. It's like breathing. You know what I mean? And it fills your body with like oxygen and excitement, and you just realize that it puts you in a can do position where you feel like you can do something, and it doesn't matter. There are no small acts of kindness. There are
Mm.
no small acts of kindness. So it doesn't matter like what you do, you will always feel better after you perform an act of kindness than if you don't. It just is what it is, right? So and I think that can only lead to a great place, for us as
Yeah.
humanity, just like feeling good is what we want, is what everybody
Mhm.
strives for. So I'm fortunate in that regard. And I think that what people need to understand, and what I understood by doing this work was like, you know what, if you if you think about, like, if I sat around and thought about homeless moms and kids all day long, I would be too overwhelmed and I would be paralyzed. But I don't. I put one foot in front of the other, and today's problem is this. Let me see if I can help them with this. And as you help someone to kind of start to unravel the knots, you realize, if you take a piece of rope and you tie it into 100 knots, and you make them really tight and they seem impossible to open, the once you open that first knot and you kind of take through the loop and you go to the next knot, and you keep going, it's like, oh, I can do this. And that's what happens. And you end up untying the whole thing, although you didn't even think you could. You didn't even want to start. So I take life like that. I'm like, I take baby steps, especially if I don't know what I'm doing. I tend to just go, let me try this. You know what? Big deal. So nothing tried, nothing done. If it doesn't work, I do
Mhm.
something else. But you never know. And I think that all of us, every single human being, is capable of being helpful, of being,
Yes.
um, you know, uh, essential in someone's life. For it can be for a brief moment, or it can be for a longer time, whatever it is. But I think that if we just all understand that we are actually here to be connected, we're not here to live like that alone, and we are here because energy is what makes the world go round, and we all have energy. And if you put your energy, the more energy you put at something, the more it'll work, right? So if we
Mhm.
all decide to just throw some energy in the direction of humanity,
Mhm.
just think of whether it's your neighbor or the guy down the street or some stranger you see, whatever, just put a little bit of energy. And
The big distinction that you were making here is between worrying energy, because that's still energy too.
yeah, yeah, true, true,
It's
true, true.
unproductive
Yeah.
energy,
Hmm.
though. It is
Hmm.
inside. It doesn't reach anybody else. It doesn't solve anything. It rarely teaches us anything.
That's
But
true.
active energy is productive. It is impactful. If you are trying to find your purpose, look around you.
Yes.
There is someone who
Yeah.
needs your support. And this
Yes.
isn't about having the full picture. As you
Right.
said, you
Yeah.
never would have imagined you were
Right.
going to help these tens of thousands of people, but you took one step forward. And
Yeah.
that, I think, is the great lesson in all of this.
Yeah. I also think, like during COVID, one of the things that it just was so annoying to me to constantly hear this, but telling people like essential workers were going out and then you stay home because you're not essential. And I was like, everybody's essential in this process. Like, stop people telling people they're non-essential. Unessential
Mm.
work. I said, well, I'm not going to be unessential. So whatever that means. Like, and you know what? I think that once you plant this idea in people's head that they could even be non-essential, they just accept that. Okay, so I'll just go sit over here. And instead of saying, check in on your neighbor. If you're going to buy toilet paper, ask if your elderly neighbor needs some as well. Like, just don't be, you can't be who wants to live an unessential life at any
Mhm.
point? I just don't, certain words just should not be using certain, cadre. And I think that was one of them where I was like, you're basically crippling people. And yes, we all should not go out in the street and run around and be crazy. But there's still something you can do, and it can be within your own like community, your family, an aunt, and somebody else, whatever. Just understand that we are not here to be not essential. We have purpose. Everyone
Yeah.
has purpose, and you have purpose every day. If you get to wake up, that's your first thing, right? So your first blessing is, oh my God, open my eyes today. Look at me, I'm going. And then you move. Like, nobody gets up in the morning, opens their eyes and closes their eyes and go back to sleep for the rest of the day. You get up and you get out. You know what I'm saying?
Do you share your age, Deborah?
Oh, absolutely. I turned 65 on September 22nd. What's the alternative is to not. I'm like, I jump and scream for my birthday every year. I'm like, okay,
Same.
I am so grateful to be here to celebrate another one. So thank you. Yeah.
Same, same. I look at women now in their 70s and their 80s, and I think, oh, look at all the big, brave things they're doing. I have
Hmm.
so much time.
Hmm.
And yet, so many of us get stuck in the worrying that, oh, well, I didn't do it when I was 20. I didn't do it when I
Right.
was 30. So now it's too late. So how do you think about the future as you're setting goals for yourself and the mission-driven work you're doing?
Well, I think a lot about succession planning at this point. It's like, okay,
Mhm.
what happens to this organization when I no longer dot dot dot. And I mean, I hope to do it until my eyes get closed, and that then I go to my next wherever that is that we go when our eyes get closed. But in some to some degree, I I love um, the feeling of helping these families to understand that they have someone. Like, I love being there for them. Sometimes I get a phone call and it's just a mom and she's down. She's having a tough moment. She's whatever. Um, and it just like, even just to listen to them, they need somebody to listen to. I think we can always do that. I think of my future as, I just want to keep growing this as much as I can until I can't anymore, so that it always lives. I want to keep giving life
Mhm.
to it. And fortunately, I'm blessed enough that my older son has decided to, completely on his own, join the organization's board, and he is like, this does not stop here. So that to me is like one of the best gifts in life, because I raised basically my older son was, in 1994. He was 2 years old when I started this, right? So then he was, 1992. He was 2 years old, and my younger son was born in 1994. So, and this organization is going on 32 years. So I have a 33-year-old and a 31-year-old. They didn't really know anything but this. They kind of grew up in this world, and what I didn't do, when I was raising them, was to preach to them about what I was doing. I just kind of lived it, and sometimes they
Mhm.
came along and they saw what was going on, and sometimes they didn't. But one of the lessons I learned really early on from my kids, my husband would take. I have an amazing husband. He's such a wonderful partner and father, and he puts the wind under my wings so I can keep going and doing all of this stuff because, of course, I run a business on top of the nonprofit, and just there's a lot to do. But my husband took my boys out for a bike ride. My younger son, Stefan, came home and he was so excited. He was, Mama, look. And as he was riding on the shoulder of the FDR, he saw money on the street. And he said, "Oh my God, Papa, look." And so they stopped and he found $20 wrapped up in $20, right? So he $40. And then he was pedaling along a little more, and somebody obviously had been losing money as they were riding. So he ended up finding something like $120 in just bills that were lost along the street. And he said, "Mama, look what I got." He goes, "And I want to give it to the kids in the shelter. In your help, Mama, you can help the kids." Now, Stefan was probably 5 years old, right? And it blew me away to the point. But I said to him, and I said to myself, "Self, this is a teaching moment, right?" So I said to him, "Oh my gosh, that's an amazing idea. But here's what I want us to do." I said, "What Mama does the work I do, I'm going to teach you what we do. We share." I said, "You don't have to give everything away, but you have a lot. So sharing is a great idea. So how about if we give half of that to the kids in the shelter, and then you can, buy yourself something with half of it or whatever." So you end up splitting half with him and his brother and taking half to the shelter. And the reason I did that was because I don't want anybody listening or any child to think that, oh, I am meant to, you know, just give away all that I have. It doesn't, that's not the point. The point is that when you have enough, you should share, and to recognize that enough point and share. Because even if you can, you should not eat an entire loaf of bread. There are many slices of loaf of bread. And you can still be very full and somebody else can eat as well, which is a lesson I learned from my mom. So I think that whenever people talking about hearts of gold and work and like, how do you, and I say, move with your heart. That's the first thing. And that was my son teaching me that he was leading with his heart. And then it was like, okay, what's the greatest act I can perform with this, right? And it's giving of ourselves, like sharing what we have, because I am lucky enough that I have um, quite a bit of real people in the world who share with me, which is the only thing that allows me to do this work. The sharing of resources. You need resources. When I get a phone call that a mom just moved into the shelter, she has nothing, no food, no whatever, and I have to run. I meet me at Trader Joe's. When I get on that line at Trader Joe's, I got to put my credit card down. There's nobody saying, "Oh, she's a homeless mom. Let's give her enough food for a week," right? So all of these all of these resources that people put into this organization, Hearts of Gold, the donations they make, it's such that's what powers the organization, right? So I will, until the sun rises and sets every day, I will go and I will work. I'm an energizer bunny. But bunnies need the batteries, right? And so you got to put the batteries and you got to charge them up. So charging me up, helps me to go, and supporting the work as people do and have done, which is the only reason why I got to almost 32 years, is really important. And I don't want anybody to ever feel like they can't help. Sometimes people send me a check for $18, which is a Jewish thing, and it's a blessing. And they're like, "I wish I could send you more." And I always say, "You sent me all that you could, so don't count, don't curse the blessing. The blessing is the gift. Whatever you give is the gift, right? So give in whatever capacity you're able to give, from your heart, from your resources, whatever. But when you give that thing, it takes on energy, you know, and then it all keeps moving in that direction. So I always want people to know that everything they do in their communities, in their families, whatever, to help somebody else, just do it as whatever you give matters. There's no such thing as a too small amount. People get stuck there sometimes. They feel like, okay, if I can't solve the problem and give you the $50,000, then I can't help. But you know what? You don't fill when you're filling anything. Drops of water fill a bucket, and you never know if you're the one that starts the bucket or you're the one that overflows the bucket. So put your drop in there because it will matter. It'll matter.
That's so powerful, Deborah. And I think it goes back to this idea of helping one person or helping tens of thousands.
Yeah.
Help the one person.
Yeah. Help the
And if
one
you have
person.
capacity, help two or three or
That's right.
four.
That's right. Yeah.
So you brought up so many really important points in this, but one of them really is this idea of enlisting support and bringing others along. And like I said in the opening, there are so many diverse voices, wise, experienced people who are stepping in with their dollars and their time and their knowledge to help Hearts of Gold. What is at the heart of the way that you enlist support for the organization?
So we welcome time, treasure, and talent. The three T's that any nonprofit needs is right: time, treasure, talent, right? So I have over the years, we've gotten some good publicity so people know about us. They find out about us, right? And then they're like, okay, listen, I'm a retired whatever. I can volunteer to do X. Great. Somebody says, you know what, I work here and I can make a donation and my company matches. Amazing. Somebody says, so you've got time, you've got treasure and talent. Somebody says, you know what, I'm a retired bookkeeper. Do you need help with it? Absolutely, come on in. So there are so many ways that people can be of value, true value to us and to any small nonprofit or any nonprofit in general. Like we, especially grassroots, we really rely on the kindness and the generosity of just people who are out there, understanding that we don't have all the resources to do all the marketing and the whatever. But if people keep coming to us as they do, finding out about us and saying, "How can I help?" We have a thrift vintage store, and the store is we use my space. So my background is I come up from fashion and I have a women's French clothing boutique. And I've had it now for I'm going into 37 years. So in my space where I run the boutique, I also have a thrift vintage store. And that thrift vintage store called TTH Vintage, we are located at 40 West 25th Street in Manhattan. That store and my boutique I use as a job training. So we hire moms and adult kids from the shelters, give them job training skills, pay them a living wage, and help them to qualify for the voucher that's going to get them out of shelter, right? So it's job training, it's life skills, it's all kinds of things we do in the space. We have people who volunteer. Like sometimes we just need help with inventory. Sometimes we need people to, we need donations of clothing and whatever that come in that we sell because in selling this stuff, it gives us the resources to buy the other stuff. So people bring us, our our motto is Gap to Gucci and everything in between. And literally, if you walk in here right now, you will find Gap to Gucci and everything in between. We have a beautifully curated store. It's and I've gone out of my way to make sure that it's really beautiful in a very like aesthetically you walk in and you feel like good energy because I want the moms to be in that environment when they work every day. I want them to come into that space and kind of own it and be like, okay, when I go to this place, I feel good being there, right? So we have that and so the future of the organization, I mean, there's so many, we are, we're so, I'm just so happy that we're here and that we're able to do the work we can do. And I want this to continue, like I said, and it's well on its way. We have some new younger board members that have come on board, which is great because, it's first of all, I'm on my act two and leaving this world to my son and all his friends and my boys and so on, and hopefully, please God, one day grandchildren. And I just want to make sure that that backyard is as clean as possible when I leave it so that
Mm,
they, but also having given them the tools to understand how to clean up your backyard, right? So to understand that it takes energy, but the first thing it takes is heart because with your heart you care.
mm,
And once
mhm,
once your heart is touched, you will move mountains. It's amazing that the power that that gives you, like to just move things. I mean, I've just moved things because of the hard work that I wanted to do. I didn't even know. You know what I'm saying? The mountains that would get moved. It's like they step aside and let you through so you can keep going. And it's super powerful. It really is. And it's very empowering and it has been for me. And it's nice to know that I'm watching the younger generation and watching them feel empowered to also, to understand that their purpose is what they need to find. Like find your purpose, and once you find your purpose, it'll lead you to everything else. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's kind of how it works.
yeah. And we can't choose that for anyone else,
No,
and we can't direct someone or
we can't.
hope them into it. I got to hear so clearly how you found your purpose. And there was a recipe for how any of us who are feeling a bit rudderless or overwhelmed can find our purpose in these very needy times.
Yeah. Oof. Boy, if you've never felt needed before, you're needed now. Your hopefulness is needed, your belief that we can get out of this mess, and and that we will. I always believe that good will prevail ultimately. Um, and sometimes we do it to ourselves. Sometimes we got ourselves here. Now, how do we get out of it? This
Yeah.
all didn't happen by itself.
No,
Mm.
no. We're all a part of the problem and all a part
Yeah.
of the solution.
Solution.
So, Deborah, every one of our guests nominates another woman in midlife who is doing big, brave things, who inspires her. Who would you like to nominate for the Uplifters?
Oh, wow. Hmm. I would like to nominate Anne Linane, a friend and somebody who's so powerful and inspiring.
I can't wait to meet her. Tell me about her.
Yeah. So Anne is a real estate broker extraordinaire in Manhattan. She's like top at Douglas Elliman. And she is a people bringer together kind of person. And so she started a nonprofit, One Block, that was just really, talk about cleaning up your backyard. That's exactly what she was doing. She was like, okay, we live over here in Hudson Yards, and let's put together a nonprofit that, clean up the streets, just keep our block, One Block, clear. And then it grew and went, from there it moved uptown, and so she's done all that. She has a group called Wise Wonderful Women, and it's just like bringing women together and teaching us all, like bringing in different speakers who engage us and challenge us to be our best selves. She holds these monthly dinners, and then she started this retreat last year in January where she invites this group of women up to the Catskills, and it's a weekend of wellness and mentoring, and she's unstoppable.
Incredible.
Yeah, she is. She
And
is.
for somebody as unstoppable as you to be in that in awe of her unstoppability, I'm convinced.
Okay. Oh yeah, I love her. She's amazing.
Oh, oh. As uplifters, we love to uplift other uplifters. And one of the ways I would love for us to uplift you is to get a bunch of uplifters together and come shopping and
Yes, let's do
do
it.
my favorite hobby, which is thrifting.
I
Uh,
love it. I love it so much.
so we will definitely plan an outing to come
Awesome,
support
awesome,
Heart of Gold
awesome,
in that
awesome.
way.
Oh, love it.
What else can we do to support you in Heart of Gold?
So at the moment, we're doing some restructuring of the organization. And if there's some retired person out there who feels like they want to be helpful in supporting like the store, help with inventory. As the year goes on, we have different programs, initiatives. If they join our volunteer list on our website, heartsofgold.org, then we send out things as we need volunteers. There are also professionals out there who might have some time on their hands that they want to donate. We're doing something called Road to a Million. It's a campaign that I have to raise $1 million. And I literally, if everybody donates $5 and gets 10 friends to donate $5, we will make it there. Because what happened is we've lost some big supporters as of COVID. People who
Hmm.
left, they just left. They left New York, they left the city. And so they've
Yeah.
kind of started supporting now where they are, wherever they've
Uh-huh.
moved to. And that's been really hurtful for us. It's really been challenging to replace them. So we're trying to just make sure we are solidly, we can have our feet firmly planted. And one of the things we need is to just like we need to raise back this $1 million that we've kind of
Mm.
lost. We lost about $500,000 in the process, and we want to just feel like we're more um, secure, right? So, and it might not sound like a lot, but I guarantee you that if this happens and people really just say, look, just go to the website, donate $5, donate whatever you want. But we're just saying if we get all these multitudes of people donate, we will get that $1 million, and that will be a party day. That will be a party day.
All right.
So
Well, I'm going to go
let's go.
donate as soon as we hang
Yes,
up.
yes, and
So
we'll
thank you for that clear, specific action. We are so much stronger together.
yes, stronger together is absolutely the way to go. Absolutely the way to go.
So
And
thank
women
you.
supporting women
Women
is an
supporting women.
incredible thing because we should be running the world, first of all.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so
Well,
if
we
we
are
support each
in an
other, I was going to
undercurrent.
say, if we support and if we do this, we can come out from that under place and really stand firm above ground and be really strong like that. So I love women supporting women. It's such and which is why, this work with moms, just helping them become their best and strongest and most confident selves, and understanding that, as women,
Thanks
I
for
mean,
watching the
we
Uplifters
carry
podcast. If this
everyone. We
inspired you,
carry
hit
everything, and it just
subscribe
is what
and
it
tap
is.
the bell to stay uplifted.
And
Give this video a
and
thumbs
smart
up
men know
and
that.
share it
That's
with
why I'm married
someone
to
who
my
needs
husband.
a little lift today. Big love. Same. Smart men and creative, unstoppable women.
Yeah.
It is such a joy to meet you. I'm so inspired by you. I'm so grateful for the lessons and insights you share. And I hope that for me and for all of us, they will move us past our fears and our worries into action and
Yeah.
impact.
Yeah.
Nothing is going to change if we stay stuck in our heads.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We can only change if we move. Yeah. It
Yeah.
takes energy. Yeah. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Deborah.
It's
I look forward to
amazing
meeting
being
you
here.
soon in
Oh,
person. So
me
please come
too.
back
Let's
again.
make that party happen.
I can't wait. I'm all excited.
I know.
Go
I'm
look
there.
at the
I'm there. I'm
schedule
there.
now. For those
Okay.
of you
Got it.
listening, thank you for joining Deborah and I today. Go out, make a donation. Even like she said, if it's $5, these add up and together we can have so much impact. Go and visit our website. Join us for a little shopping party. You can find out everything over on the Uplifter Substack, where we post so much weekly inspiration, neuroscience about how change happens, especially in midlife, and incredible stories like Deborah's that show us how it's done. See you next week.